Welcome to another Kentucky Derby edition of HorseCenter. Everyone, I am Brian Zipsey, and as always, I have the pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Schiffman. How are you today, Matt?
Brian, I'm very good, and I just want to let you know that I am coming to the Derby this year.
Oh, it's about time, Matt. We've been waiting. We've had a warm seat for you in Louisville for years now. Welcome, an early welcome to Kentucky, although you know Kentucky well, but you'll get to be part of the 170,000 or so screaming fans at this year's Kentucky Derby. Matt, let's jump right in to what happened last week because we had a pretty big prep. It was in Florida. It was at Gulfstream Park, and the current Kentucky Derby favorite was the big Fountain of Youth favorite. How'd he do, Matt?
I think he did just fine, Brian. Mohaymen did everything that was expected of him. It was a good, solid field. He had to work a little bit harder this time than in previous races because Todd Pletcher's Zulu ran a pretty nice race.
The lightly raced Zulu turned out to be a real warrior. Mohaymen had to collar him on the turn, had to run with him a little bit, but even by the early in the stretch, Matt, you knew who the winner was. Mohaymen was sticking his neck out in front, and then it seemed pretty easy from there. Now, for Mohaymen, this was race number 5. Zulu only race 3, but still I have no problem taking from that race that Mohaymen is the better horse.
Yeah, without question. And the thing that I liked about Mohaymen was once they came down the stretch and they got even, his rider, Junior Alvarado, you could see, asked him to provide more. And at that point, Mohaymen spurted away, put the race away, opened up to a good couple lengths, and they coasted to the finish.
As per usual, Matt, now his speed figures have kind of been on a plane, whether you're looking at Brisnet, whether you're looking at Beyer, they kind of have remained the same. They're good numbers, they're not great numbers. Are you at all worried that he's not progressing to this point?
Well, there certainly has been a lot of talk out there about it. We've got some blogs up at Horse Racing Nation talking about it. I think that's what they're asking the horse to do. I think they're asking the horse to give these consistent kind of performances. The other question is the numbers, and again, like you said, whatever system you're talking about are, they're not dazzling. They're not at the typical kind of level that Derby winners usually produce. But then again, nobody really has produced those kind of numbers yet.
Nor have they in most years in recent memory. Maybe American Pharoah was different. You mentioned Junior Alvarado just needing what he has to do to get a pretty easy victory. It sure looks like he's got some horse in Mohaymen left in the tank, Matt. And by the way, it's nice to see Junior Alvarado with a really, really top-notch horse. He's been a good rider for years, nice guy. So I'm glad McLaughlin is staying with Junior. Now, Zulu, third race. Granted, he had 2 races over the Gulfstream Park track already this meet, but it was a very nice performance. Now, does he stay in Florida? I'm assuming that Mohaymen and Nyquist are going to continue on this path to the Florida Derby. Does it make sense for Zulu to stay at Gulfstream and try both Mohaymen again, but also the 2-year-old, another unbeaten champion in Nyquist?
I don't know. Or should he come up north and look at the Wood Memorial, or go to Keeneland for the Bluegrass? I think most of all, Zulu needs to get more race experience, and he can get that in the Wood, and he can get that in the Bluegrass.
Yeah, Zulu is a promising horse. I just don't know if Mohaymen and Nyquist is what he wants for his 4th lifetime race. Now, speaking of promising colts, Matt, there was another interesting runner that ran. It was actually the day after. It was Sunday at Santa Anita. It was only an allowance race, but all eyes were on Malibu Sunset. This is a good-looking son of Bernardini, who we both saw win big in his debut in the Big Easy, shifted to the Bob Baffert barn, and Malibu Sunset looked the part of a heavy favorite on Sunday.
Certainly did. He was prepped in for his first race by Wayne Catalano, and then privately purchased by Gary West, and sent out to Baffert, and yeah, was sent off 1 to 5. Horse looked a little hot in pre-race, but I also heard Baffert say that he was like that in his first start at the fairgrounds also. Did a good job, good solid effort, went 2 turns, won the race looking nicely. Again, similar to what we said about Zulu, only a second start. So some of those pre-race jitters and hotness might be things that go away with more experience, but Malibu Sunset needs to get more experience and needs to get it quickly.
Absolutely, but as of now, the son of Bernardini's kind of a hot sire this year, Matt. Looks like one of the top up-and-coming horses. Whether he's ready for the Kentucky Derby or not, we'll have to see. He needs, like you said, he needs more, but it was nice to see him stretch out for 2 turns. He's in the hands now of Baffert, of course, the master of the Triple Crown. So we'll be watching for Malibu Sunset in a stakes race sometime soon. Okay, so those are the colts. We've talked a lot ad nauseum about Songbird this year and even late into last year. But there's an upstart coming from the East Coast. She's won in the Northeast. Now she's won a couple in Florida. Of course, I'm talking about Cathryn Sophia, the daughter of Street Boss, another undefeated horse who's just looking extremely impressive so far.
What a fantastic performance that was. This horse, Cathryn Sophia, showed that she is not just a sprinter. She went a distance of ground in this race, and she improved. In her earlier starts, she's had a lot of erratic behavior coming down the stretch, had trouble changing leads, but this was by far her best performance, not only, again, winning by a large margin, but nice straight path, did everything much, much more professionally, that coming with experience. She gets thrown in there, and this 3-year-old filly division is something fantastic.
Yeah, Matt, she impressed me again. I've been following her since her big maiden win, so I kind of have always liked her. I will caution that the Devona Dale, while it was a mile, of course, was not a 2-turn race yet, so she needs to jump that hurdle. Having said that, it sure doesn't look like she is shortening stride or getting tired in any way in these races. Her competition, I haven't really seen a whole lot from her competition yet. She's a Street Boss, which could go either way as far as distance, but on the bottom side, she's a mine shaft, which certainly promises distance. Cathryn Sophia has thrown her name into the ring as a real contender to the supremacy of Songbird to this point.
Yeah, that's going to be some exciting races ahead. We still got Rachel's Valentina to make her debut in the division also, so exciting stuff.
I'll throw Karina Mia into that, and I want to see Polar River come to America, of course, too. So the fillies are looking superb at this point. Now, we had one other big name run this week. It wasn't in the United States, but it was an American horse in Dubai, and he made his second lifetime start in Dubai. He made his second start off a long layoff. Not a lot of competition, but California Chrome, you had to like what you see from this Dubai World Cup prep for the 2014 Horse of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget that race, it wasn't tough competition, but the race was a 1.25 miles, and California Chrome looked terrific. What a great way to get ready for the World Cup. I mean, I've heard trainer Art Sherman talking since the race, and he said that it was a wonderful performance that California Chrome put in, that he's in terrific shape, and all they're going to have to do is just work him easily, send him out in the morning, and get him up to the World Cup. They don't have to breeze him hard. He's ready to go, as you saw from his performance.
Yeah, it's interesting, Matt, because after all of the trials and tribulations, he lost weight. He was shipped from Dubai to England. He had a different kind of training. He had foot bruises. He spent a bunch of time on the farm. Who knew for sure how good he was coming back? But everything this year has looked really good. He seems to be the horse that he was before he left us last year. And obviously, I think he's the favorite for the Dubai World Cup. Now, you know, I have strong feelings for Frosted, who also looked good in his prep a few weeks ago. We have Keen Ice and Mubtahij running on Saturday in the Al Maktoum Challenge Round 3. Those two both might be, along with Mashawish, some of the biggest competition for California Chrome and Frosted as the top two favorites. So the Dubai World Cup is looking interesting. And for all those California Chrome fans out there, there's a lot of them out there, Matt. They should be really happy going into the Cup. It's going to be a much, much, much tougher test. Granted, he did carry a lot of weight in this prep, but the Dubai World Cup will be a whole new bag of beans as far as competition goes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, I really believe that California Chrome is back and maybe he's better than ever.
Maybe better than ever. That's exciting. Matt, I also got to get back onto the Kentucky Derby trail here. We call this the Kentucky Derby Watch this time of year. We have an interesting race in the Gotham. Now, the Gotham is an old New York race, lots of history, but frankly, it hasn't produced a lot of Triple Crown type horses in recent years. But I'm actually pretty excited about Saturday's race at Aqueduct for the sheer depth of the field.
Yeah, I'm excited about the race. I'm excited because I'm going to be there. But it is a very, very interesting Gotham field this year. We've got horses coming into the race out of the withers that have good experience. So we've got some stakes winners, but we've got some horses coming out of maiden wins that have shown a lot of promise that are now coming back to the races. And we've also got a renewal of the matchup of Shagaf and Rally Cry from that allowance race in Gulfstream Park in January. And Shagaf won that race, but there's a lot of people out there that think that Rally Cry ran the better race because he just had a brutal trip.
Yeah, Matt, let's get back to the Withers first. I think we're showing a video of the Withers, and I think those are two of the horses to beat. Now, when I wrote down my notes for the Gotham, I literally wrote down 8 names that I liked, and not one significantly better than number 8. So it's interesting. Now, in the Withers, Sunny Ridge, pretty experienced New Jersey bred. He's been through the wars a little bit already, and he professionally did what he had to do, got on the outside, wore down the leaders, and got to the wire first. It wasn't super easy, but the horse that ran third, Adventus, Leah Giamardi, second lifetime start after a big maiden win. He had all sorts of trouble. I watched it over and over again, starting from the starting gate all the way into the first turn, just nothing went well. And then down the stretch, he was green, he was bumping. And then he showed a good kick late. Adventus, son of Any Given Saturday, I think is going to be my top pick in here, making only his 3rd lifetime start, Matt. What did you take out of the Withers?
Yeah, and right. Adventus, I think, is one of those horses that gained a lot of experience from the Withers. He was green, didn't like getting hit by the jockey when he was asked for more. So, yeah, a lot of promise from Adventus, and going to be interesting to see what he can bring in that race. Like you said, Sunny Ridge is a professional at this point compared to some of the other horses.
Yeah, Sunny Ridge is probably the one to beat, but I have a feeling he is going to get beat this time. I think the favorite, actually, Matt's going to be Shagaf. You started to talk about that allowance race. That was only Shagaf's 2nd lifetime race. It was at Gulfstream Park. He won rather easily, although, right, the 3rd horse was Rally Cry, who was the 2nd choice that day for Todd Pletcher, and all sorts of trouble for Rally Cry.
Yeah, and Shagaf, of course, comes out of the Shadwell barn, the same the same folks that have Mohaymen, but Shagath is trained by Chad Brown. And Shagath had a perfect trip. Everything went perfectly right out of the gate. Nice position on the outside, cruised around, won the race. But Rally Cry out of the gate, got bumped and pinched, so the trouble started then. Javier Castellano was riding, settled the horse down, worked him up into position along the rail, started to make a move through an opening, and the opening closed up. And man, did he get shuffled back and shuffled back and shuffled back. Javier got his feet back under the horse, and he made a nice move to finish third. So Pletcher Barn experience, I don't know. I like Rally Cry in there. I think he's going to show a lot more. But we've got some other horses in there, Brian. We've talked about 4 of them already. We've got some horses in there that had terrific first starts. We got a Matt King Cole possibly returning to the races.
Yeah, Matt, as you know, I write my Kentucky Derby Under the Radar articles every week, and I have 3 that are meeting in the Gotham. Matt King Cole is one of them. Of course, the Lady Sheila stable runner for Linda Rice. Matt King Cole looked very good as a 2-year-old, very promising. He's got distance breeding, son of Cool Coleman. Matt King Cole has not run since last fall, but he looks like a good one. Conquest Big E, I think, deserves another shot after a Holy Bull was kind of a dull performance down there, but it seems like he has a lot of talent. You mentioned Shagath, as I think will be the favorite, just a really, really good-looking Bernardini, another Bernardini. There's the Maiden out of California, Lauban, I believe is how you pronounce the name. He's run some good races out in California despite being a maiden, and he's trained by your old friend, right?
Yeah, that horse is trained by the quote machine, Eric Eo, who always has something interesting to say. And of course, he's no stranger to racing in New York, spends the summer at Saratoga. And like you said, Brian, that's a horse, that's a maiden, but he finished third in the Sham Derby prep behind Collected, ran a good race in there, had some trouble. Came out of that race, got a little sick, a little bit of a fever, and had to miss the Robert B. Lewis. Couldn't quite get ready for the Risen Star, so the next available race is the Gotham, and here comes Eric Eo. So who knows what that horse is going to do?
Yeah, he's interesting. Make sure you say hello to Eric Eo from me, Matt. Another one I wrote down, I'm just going to mention the 8th horse. I mentioned 8 horses. Governor Malibu is a New York bred. He's changing from the New York breds to the open company, but I think he's a horse with a future. I don't love his chances in here, but he's a nice horse. Probably have some long odds in here. Matt, I'm going with Adventist, who I think will be the 4th or 5th choice in here as my top choice. Who's your pick in this very deep, contentious Gotham?
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I like Adventist, but I'm going to go with Rally Cry because we are certainly going to get odds that we don't usually get on a Todd Pletcher runner. Rally Cry is probably going to be you think 3rd choice, Brian? Right? Or it's going to be...
Yeah, I would expect Rally Cry to be the 3rd choice, just behind Sunny Ridge, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. So I wouldn't mind going into that leg on a ticket with Adventist on there and Rally Cry, the 3rd and 4th choices. I would like that.
Excellent, Matt. Okay, so we're picking not the favorites, folks, in the Gotham. That's Adventist and Rally Cry. Gotham should be interesting. That is the only points prep this weekend. The 12th, a week from Saturday, is going to be a good prep day with San Felipe, with a bunch of interesting horses pointing for that Santa Anita race. The Tampa Bay Derby and the return of Brody's Cause also is the 12th. So we will preview those races next week on HorseCenter. We're going to be talking Gotham next week as well. So make sure you come back and join us on HorseCenter. As always, we're brought to you by Derby Wars, the best content site out there. Matt, thank you so much for joining me again this week.
It's always my pleasure, and thank you to our crack producer, Ember Marr.
Ember Marr. Have a great week, folks. We will see you next week on HorseCenter.